So hello, Dr. Joy. What's the time? What's the time over there in Australia?
It's 10:06 p.m. actually.
Doctor, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh yes, I'm still hearing from there. I'm not hearing from here. Don't know why.
Is it my end? Hmm?
Yes, I can hear you now. Okay, she has put it. She has gone on mute again.
So I think you're
You think what? You said you think.
feedback because it's echoing. I don't know if you guys can everyone hear an
Okay.
echo?
Have you switched off that one now? Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Is it better now? I think the audio should be better. Still echoing.
Hello. So how are you? What's the time there in Australia?
It is 10:08, sir.
That's PM.
I'm not sure. It's echoing.
That's 10 p.m.
10 p.m. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I think we're.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can.
Okay.
Yes, yes, you can. All right. So introduce what we're discussing today now. Yes,
Okay.
yes, you can. All right. So
Yeah, can I just, sorry. I can still hear the echo. I think that's why I'm a bit confused. But as long as you guys in the live, can you hear an echo? It sounds okay to them. Okay, so we just
so
go.
what? We want to
Okay.
sound out here.
Okay, sir. So today, the topic is spouse importation versus finding love abroad or finding love overseas. Did you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, okay. I was saying the topic that we're supposed to talk about is finding love overseas or abroad versus spouse importation.
Hmm.
Yeah. Can I proceed?
So let's continue my thing now because I can't.
Hear me. Okay. Okay.
Do you think you're still, I still hearing the echo?
No, it's gone now. It's perfect, actually.
Okay, I think we should just manage. I'm out here in Cameroon, so my network is very blessed.
It is, but we can hear you very well. So I think we'll just proceed, I guess. Is it lagging? So can I do an intro perhaps? Should I do an intro to the topic? Is that okay?
Yes, I still can't even hear her now. Yes, I think you can. We have to.
Okay, so I'll just start with the intro while they figure out all the other technical difficulties. You guys know how these lives work. Sometimes
This is
connections
sounding even
may
lesser.
interrupt. So we're talking about finding love abroad versus spouse importation. And I think we use the term spouse importation because it's a bit catchy because it sounds like, are we importing goods or importing human beings? But really, what it is they call it another way to refer to it.
I
Like
can't
if you're
hear
looking
anything.
at research,
I thought
for
it was.
instance, it's called transnational migration or um, migration for visa purposes, whatever it is that they call it. It's basically the process of marrying someone from another country and bringing them into your home country, right? And this can happen through like visa sponsorships or whatever the case may be. It's commonly used for like informal discussions when we refer to what we call transnational marriages. Now, first of all, I think the first question is why would someone even decide to import a spouse? It's because generally people refer to finding a spouse overseas as very difficult. Okay. So after they must have searched and searched and searched, then they give up and they want to go back home and bring someone in. And I think the effects of that, there are lots of dangers. There are people that have been successful at it and are happy, but there are a lot of people. I feel like majority, as in this has come from speaking to a lot of people, no actual statistics have been collected, but majority of people actually are not doing very well in this aspect, sir. But the difference is that the people that are doing well are louder than the people that are not doing well because in our society we're still in that mindset of don't talk about your marriage. If it's hard, you have to stay there and endure, So the approach I was thinking we could take this is if we look at it from a male versus female perspective, because if there's anything I've learned from your teaching, you and Pastor Mildred, is that men and women are very different, right? And then you always talk about personality traits and things like that. So I was going to approach this from a male, meaning a man bringing a woman in, versus a female perspective, which is a female bringing a man in, because the results or the experiences will differ based on these perspectives. Um, so what I was thinking was giving a few scenarios. um when we give the scenarios, then what I want you guys to do in the chat is to pick which of the scenarios you want Pastor K to address. Okay, so I'm going to give fictitious names, but when I say fictitious, they're really real people, but I'm not calling their real name. Do you know what I mean? But these are real life stories. So the idea is, if you're a man, try and be honest with yourself and figure out which category do I belong to, and if you're a lady, figure out which category you belong to. And the idea is that you then write in the chats who you want Pastor K to address. I'll start with men bringing women in, and I'll give maybe three scenarios that I know of. And then we can only maybe address one from each party. And the rest, you guys just have to come to LDM conference. That's how it's going to happen. So we cannot address everything. But I believe if you come to the conference, it'll be helpful. Okay, Pastor K, is that okay? Can I give you my
Yes.
scenarios? All right, perfect. Okay, so Um, one thing you have to understand that whenever you're talking about spouse importation, experiences will always differ based on personalities, not just gender. Gender is already like, I think me and my husband, we always talk about, he always says men and women are just so different, like far apart, you understand? But then when you have personality traits, it's taking it to another level altogether. So let's talk about now. What was interesting is in you guys, if you don't know, I'm a researcher, so I always like everything has to have some kind of structure, you know. So what I did, looked at all these stories. I tried to gather what we call themes, right? It's in qualitative research, you do themes, overarching themes of the topic in discussion. So when we looked at men bringing women, the overarching theme was balancing ego, expectations, and cultural roles. Meaning, what that means is that these topics were more important when men were bringing women. Then, when we looked at women bringing men, the overarching theme was expectation of reciprocity, meaning you reciprocate whatever energy I give you as a woman, emotional resentment, and companionship. Again, there's no surprise there. The women bringing men is a lot more emotional than the men bringing men, which is a lot more practical. All right. So case study one, right? You guys in the chats, pay attention. Case study one is Kunle. Okay. This is his fictitious name. Kunle has friends, right? Kunle is in Australia. Let's use Australia because it's Australia that PK them are coming to. Kunle has friends with successful wives, right, around him. And then he desires to import a woman that he can showcase and they can match that level of success with the wives around him. But he cannot get a wife on the ground to his level. And that's because maybe he's not as established. But then when Kunle goes back home, he's almost like a lord because he's coming from abroad. So there are women literally flocking over him. But over here, they're not flocking over him like that. You get? So it's better. He has a higher chance of bringing a wife on his level by going back home and importing her. So now he finds a wife. Her name is Amaka. Sorry, there's Amaka in the. I'm not referring to you, but he finds a wife. Her name is Amaka, and then Amaka comes over to Australia. Now Kunle is very insistent that Amaka will not take any menial job. What that means is she's not going to work disability. She's not going to work any job that does not elevate his status, and she'll only work in positions that he fancies, that elevates his thing, boosts his ego. Now, what's the character trait in Kunle? He's driven by his ego. He's driven by external validation. You know, he wants to maintain a particular image in his social circle. Now, what's the impact on Amaka? Depending on her own personal aspirations, you know, she might feel restricted, she might feel unhappy, and she may feel undervalued because Kunle's emphasis is on her job status. Mind you, in this time, she's not making any income. Okay, so she has a desire for independence, but she's lacking that independence. Remember that she's probably doing well back home and he has brought her here and he's now suppressing her that she cannot get a job. And so she's fully dependent on him, something that she's not used to. Okay, so again, you might have it on the other end because I do know of someone that came in and prior to the man going to marry her, he was bragging to everyone that he's going to bring in a doctor. Okay, so he had even calculated how much he's going to make when she comes in. Because anybody that's a doctor in the house, please say I. You know how tough doctors' exams are. So he was bragging that when she comes in, she's going to write the exam, and this is he has calculated her income and how they're going to be able to get a loan and get a property. But he brought her in and she was like, she does not want to work, do medicine anymore. In fact, she was practicing back home and she realized it's not for her. She wants to go into public health. You can imagine the resentment. And after he has finished planning everything, you know. So that's Kunle and Amaka, right? Kunle wants, she can't work. She cannot work in the factory. She cannot work in the grocery store because it does not elevate his status. Case study two. This is, we're going to talk about Chidi. Chidi insists his wife must establish herself in her field. You know, it's very similar to Kunle, but this one he's a bit more supportive because maybe her wife, what's the wife's name? I gave her a name. Um yeah, so Ifoma is his wife. Ifoma is his wife, and she comes from a well, like respected family. You're going to marry governor's daughter, you're going to marry the daughter of a family of like doctors or whatever the case may be. You have to, when you bring her here, you have to ensure that she reaches that same level So he brings her here, and on same issue, he does not want her to work because he wants her to focus and get her exams and pass so that, he doesn't feel insecure, like feel like he's not worthy of having her as his wife. So his motives now, his character trait is driven by insecurity, a bit of pride, also kind of wanting not wanting to feel responsibility for slowing her down. So the difference I think between Kunle and Chidi is that it's not for his personal gain, it's actually for her gain, but he's now overlooking her desire to be independent and overlooking the fact that most of these occupations, when you get to Australia, it'll take you time to get those certifications. So that means you're going to go years. It takes time to adjust to the new environment. You're going to go years without making income. Okay, last case study, and we're going to pick only one. Remember, guys, so just specify which one you want PK to address. The last case study, I'm calling him the traditionalist. His name is Ade. Okay, Ade prefers his wife Shola to stay home and focus on raising their children. Despite her having any ambitions whatsoever, he expects her to fully embrace the role of a housewife, citing that family is always priority. Okay. And then the common reference that Ade makes, and I'm sure anybody that's in Australia would have heard this before, is that how much is she even going to make compared to childcare costs? But to Shola, even if her income is exactly the same as childcare costs, it means her career and her dreams are not put on hold to just, you know, to fully embrace the role of motherhood and being a stay-at-home wife. That was never in her plan. So what is Ade's traits? He holds very strong traditional views. He believes a woman's primary role is to care for her home. And Shola, on the other side, may feel limited, unfulfilled, which eventually leads to resentment over time. Now, in all of these cases, let's also remember that the woman may have limited social connections. A lot of the time, when a man imports his wife, the social connections that she forms is the connections that he has. So his friends' wives become her friends. So it's not like back home where she gets to pick who her friends are, especially if she's coming to an environment where she does not know anyone. Okay. And that's why sometimes we hear stories of the woman changed when she got here, or you hear stories of the man trying to keep her um, tight within a tight knit circle so that she does not go out and hear all these things about all her options. Okay. So those are the three now, men bringing women. Before, let's address one before we go to women bringing men. So, which one do you guys think you want to address? I can't really see the chat, so I'm not sure what they're saying.
I'm seeing a lot of Ade.
Oh, are they traditionalists? Is Ade coming through? Yeah? Okay. Okay, PK. I think everyone's interested in Ade. So maybe we have a lot more traditionalist men bringing women in, and they're trying to understand how do you navigate that? How do you even convince a man past childcare costs versus me working and how that's important?
Sorry, Joe, just give me a brief summary again of the Ade story because you mentioned three
Okay.
stories.
Yeah. Okay. So Ade is our traditionalist, right? He prefers his wife to stay home and focus on raising their children. Despite her ambitions, he expects her to fully embrace the role of a housewife, citing that family is always priority and family comes first. The common reference points Ade makes, which we have heard, we on the ground, we've heard this many times, is how much are you going to make compared to childcare costs? But to Shola, his wife, her income, even if her income is the same price as childcare costs, she still wants to pursue her career. She never bargained that she'll put her career on hold and embrace, being a full-time housewife. So she feels limited, unfulfilled, and it now leads to resentment, but she can't really voice it out, you know. And she's also limited by his own circle of friends, his friends' wives who have now become her friends.
Okay. Well, I should usually say there's no right or wrong concept. There's just a right or wrong fit. So I think the issue here is that he should have looked for a woman that agrees with that idea. There's always somebody that agrees with any idea you have. If you want a total housewife, there's a woman that would love to do that. You just have to
Mm,
find that kind of woman. There's only a challenge if you go and find a woman that really has ambition and wants to climb the corporate ladder or pursue a career, and you now want to make her a housewife. See, that's the challenge. Or you look for the kind of woman that wants to be a housewife and you want to force her to go and chase a career. So the issue is quite simple for me. Look for the look for the right fit. All right. When you
Mm,
have your idea, this part of things people should focus on discussing, not really love. It's not love that emotional love now that is that makes a marriage last or break. It's usually things like this. That's why they call it irreconcilable differences. It's usually things like this. We are not aligned in our
mm,
goals. So from the offset, people should marry with the right fit. If you like a housewife, there are loads of women out there that don't like stress. They want to stay home, take care of the family, look good, be relaxed, and do that. That some women, that's their passion. So you find it is about the right fit. All right. Don't try to make a career woman a housewife. You frustrate her, and by that frustrate yourself. And don't try to make a housewife a career woman, and by that you frustrate yourself. Now, if they are already in this situation,
that's my question.
they have to find a middle ground of some sort. So it's either I've seen couples where a woman sacrificed a couple of years before she went back into the job market. So that's one
Mm,
option. She could fulfill a bit of the house roles till the kids are of an age where they don't need that kind of close monitoring anymore. And she goes back to her career. I've seen when she takes a remote job, and so that she's not totally out of touch with career, but she's still doing the two. So, I think they should find a compromise that works, for both of them. They have to find a compromise because a marriage is not all about a man, you see, because this story looks like it's just what Ade wants that we are
mm,
focusing on. But you see, Ade alone is not a marriage, you see. So again, these are the things that cause problem. And in my popular message on kingdom marriage, I explained how that, some people, even though they are believers, they want to run a cultural marriage where the woman is dependent. Some people, even though they're believers, they want to run a contemporary marriage where the woman is independent and she wants to do whatever she likes, you know. But in the
mm,
kingdom, what we do is interdependence. So we come together as a team. In a cultural marriage, it's about superiority of the man. In a contemporary marriage, it's about equality of the woman. But in a kingdom marriage, it's about unity. So we're talking
mm,
about, hey, what do we want? What do the marriage success is more important than our individual success. All right. The happiness of the union, the success of the union is more important than our individual success. So it's more about we instead of me. And it's that me mentality that breaks marriages. What I want. Marriage is not
mm.
about what I want, it's about what we want. All right. So we must focus on the we, not just on the I. So that's what I think. But Joey, I think you can also throw in some light since you have some experience with this for these people.
Well, I think I'm asking you, PKO, because I think one of the biggest struggles I've had is how to even bring up the conversation. A lot of the times women here tend to walk on eggshells because of the ego of men and how you have to always pick the right words to present your case. And if you're someone that has very strong values, like they believe in this, there's no shaking them, then how do they even start? First of all, there's no such thing as counseling in some people's books, so that's not even an option to even go to a counselor. And then if you involve parents or if you involve people, then they now say you're taking their business outside. So that's you're now
So
leaking
are you? But
privacy.
so are we painting this? Are we painting these cases like these people didn't talk about this thing before they got married?
They didn't talk about it before they got married, or it was brushed over. I'll give you an example, sir. When I was in the dating market, actually, and I think it's very important if you guys are watching and you're potentially wanting to import a husband. I think one of the key thing take home here is to have those conversations. Transparency is everything. I actually went on a date with someone that said to me in verbatim, he said, all this your PhDs will still end up in the kitchen. And I just laughed because already I'm a chef, I cook, so I'm in the kitchen technically. But that for me was you
Yes.
clearly stating that he doesn't have any interest in me pursuing any further whatever it is I want to do in my PhD. It's like, all this your education that you've gathered, this is where it's going to end up. And that's a clear message, So for me, that was a no, no, no. It was a red flag. And but then I feel like a lot of the time some women brush over red flags. It could be I released this video called Expired at 30. There's a desperation that comes when you're near 30 and you feel like you just need to settle. And these are some of the topics that are not addressed. And then when they now finally come here, they're now trying to figure out how to navigate things, and the resentment builds. Now, the problem or the good thing, I don't even know if it's a good thing or a problem, but we're now in a society that actually supports women, female independence. And they now find out, and that's when you hear stories of she came here, she changed, she left, and they're in a divorce. So yeah, if there's anything that I would take from this is, first of all, to have the conversation. Number two, not to be afraid to walk away. I feel like when you're single, this is the time to walk away. When you're married, you're there. You're now trying to figure out how to make it work. It's a lot more, complex or multifaceted, as opposed to when you're single, you have the option to walk away. So if you're considering that and they give you the answers, and I always say, and men always say it, they tell you what they want. They can be joking or whatever. PK, correct me if I'm wrong, but they usually verbalize it, but we always feel like, no, they were just joking. They're not serious. When I'll be able to convince them, and it's not always the case. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
my.
and on that good thing, these are some of the things we're going to share at the conference
Hmm.
starting next weekend in Australia. So these are the things people should come out for and invest in. Learning the basic questions to ask, learning the kind of things you must discuss before you commit, and also investing in premarital counseling. As popular as I think premarital counseling or counseling as a whole is, there are still so many people that just don't do it. They just don't do it, and the issue is that they genuinely act shocked when they start seeing problems. Then they're wondering how to
Hmm.
do. Of course, you ignored something very vital. So do those counseling. A good counselor will also help you ask these questions, and know whether both of you are on the same page. Because something as small as the amount of kids people want to have caused major divorces. Something as
Hmm.
small as how many. So I'm wondering, so is it that you guys did not talk? You guys did not plan. And just like you mentioned now, I think some people just gloss over these things or go into it with the mindset of, I will change his mind
Hmm.
or change her mind. And I think it's not just worth it. But Dr. Joe, in your own case, did you marry before you got to South Africa, or I mean to Australia, or you got here first before you got married?
No, I got married here. So I think that was the other aspect of the conversation, which is finding love overseas, because people say there are no partners here, there are no men here, there are no women here. I beg to differ, because mine was a little bit different. My pathway was different as to how me and my husband, how we found each other, basically.
The both of you meet in Australia.
Yes, yes, sir, we did.
Oh, okay.
But even that was very unconventional. And I think I think basically what happened was, so we're in a society where you can't really, well, you can, but I know my brother, for instance, I know when he started dating to get into a relationship, he was on multiple dating apps, not just one, like three or four. And I was like, why the multiple? He was like, different ones are for different things. um yeah, so he was saying that in Australia, you literally cannot necessarily walk up to someone like back home and be like, "Fine girl, I want to get your number, or can we talk?" Because it's harassment. Someone can file harassment. So a lot of the times it's through dating apps. But a lot of us Nigerians were not there yet mentally, and I was one of them. I feel dating apps are very cringy. Like, it just puts you out there unnecessarily. It was so uncomfortable. Now I can advocate for it because I went about it a little bit different. But also, it was very uncomfortable. But that's how I met my husband, on an app. And it was funny because there was a friend of mine that she was single. I think I was in a relationship at the time, or I was just courting at the time with someone else, not my husband. And we went for a fellowship, and I just told her, I've just felt it in my heart. Like, I felt God say to me, ask her if she wants to get married. And it was a bit of an invasive question because we're not close like that. So I said to her, I was like, so do you want to get married? She was like, that's a bit odd. She's Malaysian, by the way. She's not even Nigerian. And she was like, "That's a bit odd. Why'd you ask?" I was like, "I don't know. I just feel like you have a desire to get married and you're not doing anything about it." She was like, "Yeah, she's never had a boyfriend before. She's never dated, never courted, nothing." I was like, "So how do you intend to meet this man? Is it through like the pizza delivery guy? Like what? How? What's your plan? You know?" Because she's one of those people that were very like so invested in church, very present, very, but no dating, none of that. And I remember, trying to get her on an app because that I felt like that was what I was supposed to do. So because she's very religious, I found an app called Christian Connect. And I had put her on there, helped do her profile. This is someone that's never been on an app before. I don't know why I felt I was qualified, but I put her through the process and everything. And then she later, I was just messaging to see how far, has anybody reached out. And she said, no, that the people there are very odd. Like, I'm like, in what way? Like the men there were messaging her saying, how are you? When were you saved? Do you speak in tongues? How long do you speak in tongues for? Like before asking about personal questions. And she was like, it's a bit odd. 3 months down the line, she calls me and she's like, I wanted to say thank you, by the way. I was like, what? She was like, you opened up my mind to even online dating, and it's something I've never considered because it's too out there for me. And I said, oh, okay, did you find someone on Christian Connect? She said no. She actually just tried another app and then she found someone, which was now crazy because me, I'm like, which app is that? Because I want to join that app. And then she told me about it, and then she said something, and I think this is the difference. And this is whenever I talk about online dating, this is what I tell people. The difference between this app was that it was paid for. So the free apps, you get what free things come with. The paid apps, you get the filtered out version of things, and it was not cheap. So I always tell my husband that we paid for each other, like we were not free. So you get the difference is that in your head, you think the person that's paying for this app must have a job because it's not cheap. But I remember I
Yes.
told God that, look, this is out of water for me, very uncomfortable. I'm going to do 3 months and I'm going to be so specific. Like I'm going to shop for my husband. Because I was like, if you're going to put me through this uncomfortable thing, knowing that, of course, if it works, look at me out here talking about it, to break the norm, that I was like, I want him tall. I want him this. I want him, I was so specific. And even because when you go in, you can select those features, Christian, all of that. And then I went in to the app. I turned off all notifications because I didn't want anybody to see that I was in the app. And the funny thing is that people that maybe like had hit on, asked me out or whatever before, they saw me on the app. Somebody even messaged like, Chichi, you're here. Are you free now? Can I? I was like, no, 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 no. This is why I don't want these things. I don't like this environment. But yeah, my husband was there, and he too. He was trying to be low, lay low. His profile said, something something athletic, and he's in a band. I was like, is he in a rock band? What's going on here? So he was messaging me, and later I got to find out that he was a music minister. So it all worked out, but we were all trying to be subtle about it. But he was in Melbourne and I was in Sydney, and then he eventually moved down to Sydney when COVID hit. So yeah, the rest is history, I guess.
So is that what you mean by you did it differently?
Yes, differently, yes. Because there are people that still say, like, they've been on the dating apps and they're not finding anyone, or they've been on multiple dating apps and they're seeing different people. But that's the difference, I believe. Get one that's paid and one that, research has check, do your research, check what they say about this app. And honestly, the lady that actually introduced me to the app, she's married as well. They've been married for a few years. So I don't know. I feel it's a God thing because I had no business asking her about her personal life, but it went around full circle to be beneficial for me as well. Yeah.
Mm.
But these
Okay.
issues, like not being able to walk up to someone or approach someone, that's why they say it's hard to find love here. And then also for the men, I find that a lot of the women that have been raised here are not the standard that they want.
Mm.
So they want to go back home and get those traditions, because the ones that are raised here they're Nigerian, but they're Australian. So it's not really what they want. They want that traditional Nigerian woman, which is why when they
And
bring them,
break
yeah.
that down a bit. What do you mean by the Australian?
Hey, I don't want to enter trouble, Vicky. So like, um, I don't know. I feel like when you're raised here, you're a lot more assertive. Um, you're not walking on eggshells like the typical, like for instance, I have some friends that when we talk about how we approach certain things, I might call and say, "Oh, this is something that's bugging me," and the way we'll say, "Okay, why don't you talk to him like this? Why don't you say it like? Why don't you bring it up when he's calm? Why don't you like?" We're looking for ways to make everything okay, to keep the marriage flowing, to keep the man happy, to keep, to keep, like you said, the marriage is the main thing. That's priority. But someone that is raised here might just, give it to you as it is and ask, why do I have to work on eggshells to make you happy? Are you doing the same thing for me? And it's all about rights and yeah, yeah. So it's very different. And I remember, I know this because even though, because I left Nigeria when I was 7, we went to, my father did cross posting. I pretty much lived in Malaysia for like 12 years, a bit in the US, kind of like everywhere. So I would say that I'm exposed to an extent, but still those traditional values were inculcated in me because I went back for youth service. I always kind of find my roots back home either way, and I've just always known what the Bible says in terms of relationships and marriages, and that's just front and center. It's not about my achievements, it's not about where I grew up, it's not about that. It's about keeping the home and maintaining the peace, and figuring out strategies. So your typical Australian Nigerian might not have that mindset. They'll have to be taught, like they have to teach them how to have that mindset of peace. I don't know. I don't know what they're saying is if they agree or not, but yeah. Because okay,
Yeah,
I'll
but
give you an
you see
example.
the
Let me give you an actual example. I went somewhere, and I'm not calling any names, but we went somewhere and we're in a gathering. And there was this lady, she's Australian Nigerian, she's married. And she was just talking about her husband to everybody. This was my first time meeting this person. And she was like, I don't know why he does this. He is so, like, he's so unromantic. He doesn't do anything for me. I'm the one that gets him this. Ask him. I got him that shoe. I got him that bag. I got him this. I paid all his, and I'm just sitting there clutching my pearls. I'm like, oh, Lord, what did you say? Why? And to them, it's nothing. Is it not true? It's facts. I did this, I did this, I did that, and you're supposed to be the man. This is what annoys me. Do you understand what I mean? She's asking me, I said, I don't understand. Please don't drag me into this, scenario. So it's stuff like that that you'd be like, oof, that, that you don't have to talk about a person that you care about, that you love like that to another person, because that
yeah,
may
but
make very.
I love the comment that Pamela made. She said, "I believe that traditional values in women come to those who remain close to God, regardless of which country
Mm,
they are from." I say, and that is my own stand as well. Being respectful has nothing to do with where you are brought up, and being rude also has nothing to do with the culture you live in. If you are a Christian and you are really yielded to the Word of God, you're not living by what the society is doing. Yeah, okay. Because when we follow what society is doing, we'll end up where society has ended up or is ending up. All right, which
mm,
is high divorce rates. All right. So I think no matter where we live, especially because I know the population and generation that will be African but raised in the Western world, the numbers are getting more and more, especially with all this
yes,
relocation and all that. So
urbanization.
I think we really need to bridge that gap where they still maintain, godly behavior, godly standards, irrespective of where they grew up, where they were born, or where they are from. And that is the big thing we're advocating for. The real biblical standards, they can work in any society,
Mm,
they work anywhere. And the Bible is clear the man needs to love sacrificially, the woman needs to be respectful and submissive. It's just simple. And when it's well understood, no one is better than the other or puts anybody down. Just as people don't understand it, so they think, oh, being submissive means being subservient or and all that. That's what they think it means, but it doesn't mean that at all. So
mm,
again, this is why conferences like this are good, where things like this can be taught and explained, and we build up both the men and the women, all right, so that they can understand. It doesn't matter where you grew up. It doesn't matter, what society you were born. A kingdom marriage can work anywhere, and I think that's what people should focus on looking for. Somebody that also values the kingdom like you, values the kingdom principles like you. Then you don't have to, be battling the basics. Both of you are using your time and energy to fight life and things that happen in life, not fight each other. And that's what
mm,
happens in most of these marriages where that understanding is not there. They are spending their time and energy fighting each other, fighting for their rights, instead of working together as a team, you know. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Can we do women bringing men now, sir?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. So now, when I'm talking about the case studies for women bringing men, again, the overarching theme is expectations of reciprocity, emotional resentment, companionship, right? So the first person is Ada. We're referring to her as the independent worker. Ada, who has always been very self-reliant, she continues to work even when she's brought her husband over. She's going to school, she may be pregnant, she may have other challenges, but she's still working. Now, her husband, Emeka, who is trying to establish himself, um, feels out of place. And Ada, on the other hand, feels responsible for making everything work, like it's her responsibility to keep everything running financially. I would say that she's strongly independent and proactive, but she's also unwilling to slow down despite any personal circumstance that she has. Usually, what in experience that I've seen, people like this tend to get taken advantage of, where you may see the man relax because she's extremely hardworking and remember, she was already here first. So no matter what, and I think that's one of the realities that you need to also confront when you're coming here. Whoever was here first will be more financially stable and secure than the person coming in. So yeah. So, for instance, if I'm a woman, I might be working. For instance, I work in a university. I'm a lecturer and a researcher. So I work there, and I'm bringing someone in. When I was doing my studies, I remember a guy that was one of the head in the Ministry of Health in the Gambia. He was working as a cleaner when he got here. So nobody cares whether you're a minister of health. It's not a work experience that is recognized here. And that's the reality of bringing a man in. And men naturally have that ego, right? So when you come here, you have to be willing to, again, women bringing men in, if that's something you're trying to do, have those conversations with the men to tell them, when you come, this is what they do here. Oh. There's cleaning, there's kitchen hand, there's disability, there's whatever the case may be, whatever it is, just lay it out so that they know what they're expecting. So for Emeka now that is coming in, he may feel sidelined or pressured, knowing that his wife is financially supporting both of them, which can affect his confidence and motivation. Now, you have two schools of thought. That may motivate him to just do anything to bring money, or it may motivate him or demotivate him to just relax and not do anything at all. Okay, case study two is the visa sponsor. Her name is Chioma. Mind you, for all these cases, visa is involved. If you're bringing somebody in, they're probably jumping on your visa or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be. Having said that, even when this was my own protective mechanism, I always give my own experience because that's my lived experience. Whenever I had conversations with people that could potentially come in, my thought process was let them come in on the same student visa that me I used to come, so that we can all go through this hustle together. Don't jump on my visa because there's this tendency, again, this is Choma's case, bringing her husband Bayo on her visa. She had to cover costs for immigration, his flights, his visa fees, all of that, because he's coming in to meet her. And it's very difficult to convert, like, let's say for now, Nigerian currency to Australia. It's easier for her to pay because she's earning in the dollar. So he now feels like he's doing her a favor because she had to go and get him. So essentially, he's the price. We're talking about Shoma now, right? The girl. So she's gone to get her husband. He's technically the price because if she could find love here, then she won't be coming home to come and bring him in to import him. So
Yeah.
Choma um, feels a bit unappreciated, especially because he's not contributing actively. So he comes and he takes this very relaxed stance. The visas that they need to go on to, let's say post-study visa or a permanent residency, it requires two people most times, your expertise or you passing English or whatever the case may be. And you find that these people are very relaxed. They don't want to push for any visa. They don't know what it's like. They don't know what Choma has gone through in paying school fees, paying for visas, all these things. So they're just coming in and just relaxing and thinking, I'm the price, so I'm here to chill. So that's Choma. We've talked about Ada. Now we've talked about Choma. The last case is Kemi. Kemi expects her husband Femi to take on a more financial role. Now, Kemi is, let's say, the traditionalist woman in a sense. that although she's here, she's bringing him for relief, but he struggles to find steady work when he comes. So initially, and this always happens, a woman bringing a man in is usually for companionship because she hasn't found someone here. So that initial stage, she's very excited that she's bringing somebody in. She has the companionship. Winter nights are not going to be cold, whatever the case may be, whatever they are doing, over time. In the beginning, it's all good. Her husband is here. But then over time, she gets very irritable and she's rude to Femi. She starts questioning her decisions, because she anticipated a traditional dynamic where the man assumes the financial lead position. But because he's coming in, it's almost impossible. And that's Kemi. So, guys in the chat, we have the independent worker over worker, Ada. Then we have the visa, the person prioritizing visa, the visa sponsor, Choma, and we have someone like Kemi that was expecting relief. Who do we want to address? Who do you want PK to address in this scenario? What are we saying? What are we saying? Huh? It's Kemi. So mostly Kemi, I think. Okay, PK. So Kemi is the one that's bringing her husband in to take on more financial responsibilities, and he's doing the bare minimum because she's working, and he feels like she brought him in. He's the price. Um, yeah. So how does she address that? Does she? I guess the question is, and this is a very hard one because um, there's lots of advice there that if you take on the role of a man, he will relax, but you also kind of need to make a living, earn a living. So you can't really stop fully. So what's your advice? Does she step back so that he sits up, or what happens?
Hmm, that one is kind of tricky. And some of these cases actually have to be treated on an individual basis because
Um,
there are many reasons why it could be playing out like this. A lot of women that are very driven and ambitious and really, really out there, hardworking like that, usually they would attract a laid back guy. All right. So some of these guys are not going to change. That's the truth. They're not going to change. This is how the story is going to be. He will always bring minimum, sometimes bring nothing, and just lean on you. In cases like that, to be honest, I tell the women to try and look for the positives. You know, at least now you do have a man. All right. So there's some good thing in there. Because there are some women that work harder than you and are still lonely and alone all their life. So if you look at it one way, well, you have a husband. That's a positive. If he's doing his other husbandly duties well, you have kids. Uh, that is a good thing. And when I say this thing sometimes, some ladies just shout, but you see, I'm the one on the back end dealing with women that are 50, very successful and alone, and they will jump on this your situation. They are saying, look, I don't even need a guy to bring anything. If I can just have a guy that will be in the house, if I can just have kids, somebody I'll have kids with, so they are pressed for what you want to throw away. That's the reality. And again, women won't value this until they're on the other side. Then they will come to me and start saying, okay, yeah, I would like this. So if you have already made this decision, this was your decision, you got into it. If it's that case where the guy is not going to change, and there are those cases, like I said, thank God that God has blessed you to work and blessed you with a good job. If you are doing well enough to take care of yourself and your kids and the house, well, God has been good to you. Cut your losses and move on. That is the reality of the case. If it's the case where he can be motivated, of course, try to motivate him. You know, does he have friends? Do you have friends as couples that can the guys can help him out? Connecting with jobs, motivating him a bit. Do you have a good church where your pastor can mentor him? Somebody can talk to him. So there are cases like that where the guy can step up. But like I said, usually those very very ambitious, driven women will not attract on driven guy. Hardly. They would always attract a laid back guy. So I've had to guide a lot of ladies through those situations. Sometimes these guys are homely, so they are good with kids. I say, hey, that's what you gain. You have a guy that is good with kids, so take advantage of that. Don't wait that he's going to change. Some of these guys are not going to change. So you either choose divorce or make do with what you have. And there is none of them are easy. Divorce is not easier. Divorce is not easier. Um, so that's what usually happens in those cases. But Joey, throw in your own thoughts.
Hmm. Okay. It's yeah, it's well, I guess the question really is okay, these are for the people that are already married, but before getting married, how do you even filter out those people? You understand? Like, I guess okay, you guys come to the conference. How to know what questions to ask.
Yeah,
To really
how you
filter
filter
out.
those people is how you filter those people, Joey, is that if someone has been out of school for 10 years, what has he done with his life for 10 years? We always tell people don't marry potential, marry patterns. Patterns don't lie. Everybody has potential. Nigeria has potential. Since they gave back to me, I've been hearing about Nigeria's potential. You know, so this is almost 50 years down the line, and Nigeria is still talking about potential. So, but patterns don't change. So if somebody has left school for 5 years, for 10 years, what have they done? If you listen to them well, the issue is, Joe, is that a lot of these women also, at the point of desperation, you see, they are not, thinking with the facts. They are not thinking with the details. They're just saying, hey, man, I just need a man. That's why I said, if you have gotten the I just need a man kind of man, if he's willing to stay with you, look for the positives. That's the best you can do. Is he good with kids? Can he produce kids? Because again, um, I'm the one dealing with the women that have a husband and they don't have kids, and the man is not even showing up sexually. So that woman is miserable. That woman will be glad to take your place to have a man that is even going to give her kids.
Hmm.
That's how life works. Every time people have something, they think what they have is not good. But somebody is praying to take
To
your
have that.
place and says,
Yeah.
yes, if I can have a man that will give me kids, I will take care of my own bills. I'm already working because I'll still live in a house anyway. And
Hmm.
now I have two kids from the same father as opposed to having three kids from three different men.
Wonderful. Hmm.
So if you look at it any which way you want to look at it, there's always something positive. Now, if you married somebody where everything is negative, every single thing is negative, then you might need to rethink your options. Again, it might be difficult to give you a proper advice if I don't know the particular case, because we're just speaking
Okay.
speculatively here. But I think women should check the patterns. If he's done with school for 10 years, what has he done in these 10 years? You know an ambitious guy. You know a guy that is doing something with his life. If all he's doing with his life is waiting for somebody to take him abroad, then that is a very, very bad sign. And again, he might not even be interested in you for you at all. He might just be interested in you because he wants to come abroad. And once he gets what he wants, he'll move on with his life. Again, we've had to deal with so many of these cases. All
Yes.
right. But if you see a man that is committed to you, maybe he's not just as driven as you are. If God has blessed you financially, there are a lot of homes where the woman is the more financially stable person. We just don't talk about it as much. But the world we live in now, women are financially stable most times quicker than men. That's the truth. So if you see a man that is committed and is willing to put in the work, is good with kids, he's even producing the kids in the first place. Again, that is a big blessing. Trust me. On my after 30 years of counseling, some women will be glad to have a man that can produce kids. They will be glad to, because some don't have that. Some do not have that, and they are past the age of having kids.
Mm.
Say your mind, Joey. You have a lot in your mind. Say.
You can tell I'm trying to keep a poker face. Ha, it's tough. That's a very it's real. I think it's a realistic. I think you brought a topic, a question that I think a lot of people want to know, especially for the women that are trying to bring in men. How would they know if somebody's just trying to japa, like just trying to use them for papers? Because there's a lot of pretense in the talking stage. If they know that the end goal is obodo ibo, they're gonna be if the end goal is abroad, they're gonna be very, convincing, and they change when they get here. In that case, someone that's done their research, done the questioning, asked all the right questions, gone to Nigeria, everything. How do they know?
Yeah, the truth is that there's always some gamble. You can even meet somebody out there in Australia and he pursues you to marriage, and 1 week after, 1 month after, 1 year after, decides to leave. So there will always be some element of gamble in the whole thing.
Mm,
But what you can do is to do all you can do. That's what you really need to do, all you can do. Which in this, again, that's why I'm not a big fan of people connecting people. I'm not such a big fan. All right. I know it works sometimes. In all sincerity, it
mm,
does work at times. I'm just not so big on it because um, you mentioned your own scenario, for instance, dating app or whatever. The success stories are way fewer than the horror stories. So
mm.
that's why I don't just push. It takes a lot of favor and grace for it to come out right. When people connect you like that, if the person already picked you because of your status, then that is already a big problem. But if you get connected or connect with someone on a regular basis, that they have a direction they are going with their life already, that is a big plus. All right. So they were not waiting for somebody that had papers. Now, if they have a preference for somebody that has papers, you also have to check, like I said, their ambition. Then, do you guys really connect? Again, every time people get defrauded or deceived, largely a part of them was also so focused on what they were going to get. All right. The whole
Mm.
principle of 419 or fraud is based on that. You cannot defraud someone that is content. You can't defraud someone that is legit and straight. You only largely defraud someone that is so obsessed with a quick way of making money, beating the corner somewhere. That's the people that get it. The Bible
Mm.
said every man is drawn away of his own lust. Don't say when you are tempted by God. Say God cannot be tempted, neither tempted he any man. It's anybody that is drawn away of his own lust. So a lot of times the person also is keen on I must get married, this year must not pass me by, or I just want anybody. So they're also blinded by the red flags that are popping up. So we have what I call the 7 checkpoints that everybody should go through before they pick someone. Um,
PK, I hope you
One
are
of it
coming
is
with books that people can purchase, resources
loads
that
and
we
loads
can.
of books.
Okay.
They're already in Australia. I think we even printed them in Australia. So we have
Nice.
loads of. We always take our books everywhere because I can't teach everything in the world. And investing in knowledge is one of the best things you can do. Investing in knowledge, Dr. Joey. I'm always pained when I hear how much people lose in marital issues. I mean, I can give you stories upon stories. People literally, women a lot of times invest millions and millions. You mentioned a case where somebody had to pay for immigration, pay for visa, pay for this. Women invest millions of naira
Mm, mm.
in a man, and a lot of sometimes it turns out to be total rubbish, as in the thing doesn't take off anywhere, and she has pumped millions. I can't count. And I'm saying, how much is the book? How much is a counseling session? How did you go this far without talking to a counselor? It must be a trained counselor. In some cases, if you're a woman, it's good to seek the counsel of a man before you engage another man. A man can decode other men a bit easier. I watched a
Yes.
video that made me laugh at how women think. Women think very differently from us. They think from a different side of their brain, very differently. So it's a common video on Instagram where a woman said they asked the girl that was the worst lie she had told an ex, and she said, "Oh, there was this ex she had that liked money a lot. That the guy was always looking at women that had money and everything, and she now deceived the guy that she had properties. So the guy dated her, and she deceived the guy that she had properties, and she was happy. And I saw in the comment section other women were hailing her. They are good, and I'm saying, how are you not seeing that you are the one that deceived yourself and lost? You deceived a loser to date a loser. How are you not seeing that you are the cargo? You are the precious item being rubbished. It's like somebody driving a limousine or a Bentley say, I had an accident with a Toyota Corolla, I damaged it. No, you are the Bentley. You damaged the Bentley. You didn't damage the Toyota. You damaged the Bentley. That's the real story. But she doesn't get it. She thought she did something great by deceiving a liar and a loser to date her. And this liar and loser that dated her probably slept with her, probably ate her small money. And ladies were commenting and encouraging her in the comment section because they're thinking of it. A man knows that this is a stupid idea. You don't deceive a loser to keep him. The best thing to do a loser is to let him go, not keeping him. Keeping him is not a win. And ladies do this to themselves a lot. Deceive a loser, keep him and trap him and say, I've won, I've caught a loser. He's going to lose. That's what he does. So it's not a win. So good counseling will let you know that let the loser go. You can't win in this case. Even if you convince this guy to come here, you're not going to change him.
Yes.
He has already shown you in his patterns. A good guy, if a good counselor talks to you a while, he will hear things that have happened, things the guy has said. He will say, look, this guy has another plan. You are not the plan. There are people that have told me, oh, I dated somebody for 2 years. He never introduced me to his friends. Never introduced me. So we guys can tell. Those are telltale signs. Telltale signs. So there are many things that a woman might not see because of the side of the brain she uses to think that, oh, she has this picture. A guy will bring you to the baseline and say, look, if a guy is saying this or doing this, there are telltale signs he's not interested in anything long. If he's not investing anything of his own, getting you to pay for everything. In fact, that he can even suggest it. It's a big, so there are little things. So the signs are there. So I have these 7 checkpoints. I can't remember all 7 of them now, but I'll mention a few. And by the way, if you're out here in Australia, you know somebody in Australia, you guys need to come out. This is why we do these things. It pains me because it's costing us a lot to come out to Australia. I didn't know Australia was this far and this expensive when I was bragging that I'm coming to Australia. It's so far.
Very expensive. Yeah.
And so expensive to fly to. So I'm a comedy team of our people. So it pains me if after we put in this effort and people don't take advantage of it, and they now go through the pain and stress tomorrow and act like, oh, they're shocked why it happened. You ignore knowledge. All right. For those asking where you can buy the books, in all the conferences, the books will be available and I'll be able to sign your books. But if for any reason you can't get it from the conference, my books are on Amazon as well. So you can always order them. All right. 7 checkpoints if you want to know if you're marrying the wrong person, before you marry the wrong person. Number 1 is the checkpoint of time. Don't rush. And this is a big one because usually when people are connecting you to marry, you're already running against time already most times. You're already feeling like, hey, time is going. But you must give time. It's not only in highway that speed kills. Even in relationships too, speed kills. So give it time. A fraudster or a deceiver, one of the greatest weakness fraudsters and deceivers have is patience. They don't have patience. They want to deceive you quickly and move on. So if you stress them with time, they will give up. They will start showing their character. All right. So time is the master of deceit. That's what somebody said. Time is the master of deceit. People can't act for so long. All right. In interrogation, one of the things they do to you is that they keep you all day. If they are really interrogating you for a crime, they keep you all day. If they keep you all day and different people are talking to you, it's difficult to maintain the same story.
Yeah.
All day.
That's true.
Especially when your mind is getting tired, your body's getting tired, you will drop something that will give us a hint whether you committed the crime or not. So that's one, the checkpoint of time. Don't rush it. Don't do this 3 months, meet and marry in 3 months thing. The problem with relationship science is that some people do break the rules and it looks like it's working. Although sometimes it works. So people now lean on that and think, oh, this is a principle. No, it's not a principle. Somebody can run across a highway without looking left and right and not get hit by a car. That doesn't mean that's the right thing to do. And if more people try to do that, definitely we'll have casualties that day. Somebody's going to run at the wrong time and get hit by a car. Somebody can drive without seatbelt and have an accident and survive. And people now think, oh, I have a friend that didn't use seatbelt and he didn't die. Not such a great idea. If you try it, more people are going to die. So that's what happens in this relationship science. Somebody does a stupid thing and it seems like it works. Other people want to attempt it and they drown. They die. So don't do this 3 months thing. Don't do this quick thing. Allow time. That's number 1. All this is summarized. Number 2, checkpoint you can do is the checkpoint of friendship. If somebody can make it as your friend, they can make it as your spouse. What happens to a lot of people is that they think if I get connected to someone, it must be about marriage. So that's what happens. So we just meet. Hey, I like this girl, or I like this guy. Hey, what how let's marry in August. So the conversation is now around August. So
Mm.
we're talking a lot, but we're not talking about each other. We're not talking about our dreams. We're not talking about our personalities. We're not having discussions that can help us know each other better. We're talking about how you can come over to Australia, how you can come over to where I am. You see, you are going to miss too many red flags that way because the focus is now on
Mm.
wedding. So let's be friends. When we are friends and casual, no pressures, I will just
Yeah.
talk. I will get to see who you are, see how you are thinking, see what you like. So check the gift of friendship. On that one is check the law or the principle of how will I say it? Reciprocity. Hope I'm saying it
Mm.
right.
Yeah.
Basically, is this person matching your energy? Are you doing all the calling? Are you doing all the giving? Are you making all the sacrifices? Usually the signs are there. You will see that one person is carrying the load, but that person has a mindset that must carry it to the finish line. No, don't carry it alone. Don't push it alone. If the person is not matching your energy, that is a sign they're not on the same page with you.
Mm.
All right. That's a sign they're not on the same page with you. That's on that checkpoint. Another major checkpoint is counseling. Counseling is not only when you have found somebody you want to marry, because the only counseling most people know is premarital counseling. No, there's personal counseling. If you are single and you've been single for a long time and you don't have any relationship with this, you can go in for counseling and coaching so that
Yeah.
somebody can talk with you and find out are there loopholes, are there things you could do, just like what you did for that girl. It's part of coaching, it's part of relationship coaching.
Mm.
You asking, you want to get married, what are you doing about it? Oh, absolutely nothing. You have to set out, give us some direction. That's part of what counsel. If your life is stuck, sometimes you need somebody from the outside to help you look on the inside and see whether there's something you are missing. That's why
Mm.
consultants get a lot of money. Consultants can come from the outside and notice things that people that have been working here for years cannot notice because they are blinded by the routine. But an outsider can come and say, "Oh, I see some opportunity here. I see some things here you can do." So, counseling. So, counseling is not just when you want to marry. There's what we call clarity sessions. Some can be that because there's nobody in your life for a long time, you might need to talk to somebody. Some can be that, oh, you have one or two people you're talking with, but you need a clarity session for us to ask you questions. So, what's special about this guy? Have you thought about this
Mm.
guy? There are times people have had somebody they didn't think it was a good match, and in talking to a counselor, I was able to show them he is the good match.
Yeah.
Like I've mentioned earlier, I've counseled one lady that was very driven. She speaks about 3 or 4 languages. She has a PhD as well. Very, very driven lady like this. But she said the guy in her life is very laid. The guy she's close to is very laid back. She doesn't think she's married the guy. I said, this is the exact guy you need to marry. You can't marry another guy as driven as you. You guys are going to clash. You guys are going to fight
Mm.
a lot. You guys won't, nobody will, you won't know where your kids are because while you are on one flight headed for one meeting, he's on another flight headed for another meeting, your kids will be on the street. You won't even know where they are. I said
Mm.
you need definitely need somebody that's a bit more laid back. That's the kind of guy that will even appreciate or tolerate how driven you are. Another driven when two driven people marry, they clash so much they eventually have to divorce because they can't stand each other. Nobody's
Mm.
piping down. So, you know, they are both matching energy for energy at that level. They find out it's frustrating. Opposites attract in the law of relationship science. Opposites attract. So two talkers generally don't do good together. A talker and a listener match better. All right, a
Mm-hmm.
jovial person or reserved person match better. That's how it works. Two people that are very, very, very moody can live together. Two people that are talkatives, you find out that he doesn't even let me talk because the persons are talking, they talk.
Yeah.
So counseling will be a major checkpoint before you don't go too far before you get counseling, especially if you can afford it. Or every stage of it, the talking stage, talk to a counselor. The engagement stage, talk to a counselor. Every stage. So there are people have had to come and say, "This person is a good match." They didn't think it was good. I say it's a good match. It's the right
Mm.
guy for you. It fits you. You guys just need to fine tune that aspect. So that's one. Then the last one, there are seven. I can't remember all seven now. But again, when I come out, this is I'll share it. The last one is prayer. It's prayer. The Holy Spirit knows who looks good now but won't last,
Yeah.
and some that don't look good now but they're the right one. So as a woman, one of the prayers you must constantly pray is the kind of prayer Pastor Mildred prayed those days, that Lord bypass my emotions, you know, and do what is right for me. Show me what is right for me. Because Pastor Mildred was like that. When she first met me, she felt, oh, I was not her spec. Because as a woman, you need to understand how your brain works. Your brain is like a 10-lane highway. Difficult to manage. Difficult to manage. Men have just one way road. It's not, they can't have confusion. A man just sees a fine girl today, he's decided today he wants to marry her. It's one road, no confusion in it. A woman has 10-lane highway. So she has all kinds of pictures in her head, most of it unrealistic, most of it a finished product. And God doesn't give finished product, He will give you raw material. You're going to build that finished
Mm,
product. So that confuses some women. So they are looking at a lot of guys and saying he's not my spec. He's exactly your spec. He's just in the raw form. He's just in the raw form. You're going to have to work with him to get to that picture you have.
mm,
So those things happen. So prayer will help you calm your nerves, clear your mind, and God will give you clarity. Some guys might look good, but you just have a strong feeling in your spirit. This is not the guy. Again, this is why you don't wait till you want to marry to learn how to hear God or how to pray. That's what a lot of people do. They've never known God, never read their Bible, never walked with God. Now it has come to marriage. They say, God told me. Sweetheart, God did not tell you anything. Your emotions told you. All right. God has never led you before. God has never spoken to you about soul winning, never spoken to you about any other thing. But suddenly you are hearing God and having dreams. Is your mind telling you those things and your emotions? It's not God at all. Because I've seen people said, "Oh, God told me this was the man, and the man is has divorced you now, beat you up, stole your money." Definitely, it wasn't God that told you. It was your emotions. You were lonely. You were
mm,
lonely, so you were hearing your emotions. You see, you have never trained yourself how to hear God. God has never led you on how to win souls, how to do things for Him, how to do other things. The first time you're having dreams or hearing God is when it comes to marriage. You're not going to hear right. All right. So
mm.
you learn how to pray and let God give you clarity. People nowadays underestimate the power of prayer. Some don't pray genuinely anymore. They pray transactionally. They want to dupe God. They want to use God. But if your heart is right, and you're not just trying to put your heart right now that you want to marry. That's what some people do. They want to scam
Yeah.
God. They want to use this person listens to worldly music night and day, watches trash night and day, hangs out in weird places night and day. No real spiritual experience or growth. But now suddenly God should give you direction. It doesn't work that way. You're
Mm,
not you're not going to be sensitive enough to hear God. So you have to have a life of in the God already. And if your heart is the right place like that, it's difficult for you to make the wrong move. Even when you're doing your best to do something wrong, you'll just find the Holy Spirit guiding you away and saying, "Mm-mm, this is not going to work.
mm.
That's not going to work." And sometimes when
That's
I'm
true.
counseling people and I can see the red signs, the red flags, and I've talked to them and they are not getting it in their head, what I just do is that I go and pray for them. I say, Lord, open this person's eyes. And
Okay.
sometimes 1 or 2 weeks after, 1 or 2 months after, the person comes back and says, I've ended that relationship. And I say, why? And they say they saw something they didn't see before. I said, yeah, the prayer worked.
Mm,
So prayer works. All right. Even when counseling does not work, if you pray genuinely that, Lord, I don't want to miss your plan. Show me what your will is. If there's something about this relationship that, is dangerous or harmful or I should know, Lord, show it to me. You will see that somewhere the guy will sleep. Some information will come to you that you didn't plan. Something will just happen and rescue you from that. Because God is interested in all of His children. You are not an orphan. You are not just somebody. If you know how much God is committed to the details of your life, He said the hair on your head are numbered. That's how
mm,
detailed He is. How do you think that kind of God just wants you to marry anybody or doesn't care who you marry?
mm.
Say a few things. So if you're out there, you have to come and tell everybody we are coming to Australia, 5 major cities: Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, Adelaide, Brisbane. You don't want to miss it. Tickets are still available. Grab them. Drag your friends. It's not for singles alone. It's for singles, for married. I'm going to address everything, both singles, married, everything. So it's the kind
Mm.
of thing.
Okay. I think those are very insightful. I can see the comments now, and everyone's just so excited. Like, like you've just opened their eyes, PK. I just wanted to go back for one brief second to those. When you said I had a lot to say.
Oh,
To
that's
the lady that is potentially dating somebody or married to someone that is very laid back, and the reality is that they're not going to change. There's something that happened, and I don't know. I'm just going to share it very, very quickly. that I felt helped. So, PK, you've mentioned before, because I've seen one of your teachings where you said men are pack animals and they're very competitive. And you also alluded to that when you were talking just now. A lot of the times, some of the things that we tend to say to our husbands, they don't listen, but they will listen from someone else, or they will learn from a
Yes.
fellow man. How I noticed this was there was a time that I was asked to preach just a topic, on dating, marriage, and what women really want. So they asked a woman to tell the men what women really want. They asked another man to take on the topic of what men really
Mm-hmm.
want. And I was praying about this, and God had given me my points and everything, and the examples. Some of the things that my husband did that I was like, wow, this is really a game changer. Or the things that I really loved that I was like, I'm gonna share. And then the day before that service, he annoyed me. So I didn't know how I'll go to this pulpit and start praising him. I wasn't there. Like honestly, my faith, PK, I'm still, God help me. I was not spiritually, I was not there. I was telling God, no, there's no way I'm going to go and say all these things about the same person. No. And the Holy Spirit just, I felt deep in my soul. He just said, if you go up there and you don't give those examples, no man there will listen to you. And it was so clear cut, where it was like, you literally be like their nagging wife, just going there to tell them what they should do and not do. So I got up on when they called me up, and I remember where I was just giving some examples. For instance, when I was pregnant, and I was saying, do you know that in my entire pregnancy, maybe 1 week that I had to go down and get food for myself, my husband gave me breakfast in bed the entire time. And people were just looking at him like, are you serious? Why, why they do this kind of thing now? Like, you're trying, it was really, they were quiet. And because I was giving these examples, I think I had some points, and I said things like, you should ask your wife, what can I do? It was like an XY equation. I'm going to do this, you go and do Y. I'm going to do X, you go do Y. So you don't say, I'm telling you on a holiday with the children. It's not a holiday. No, you can say, I'm taking the kids out, you go out with your friends. Or I've made your bath, you go and do. So take something that she would normally do and then offer her something relaxing. So it was an equation, because I was like, if I start giving you, so you guys use the equation like this. So they were like noting it. It was a lot easier to dissect because I've broken it down like that. And I gave, some examples of like when I had given birth, I felt like I had a bit of pregnancy blues, not postnatal depression, but I was really down.
Yeah.
And I remember he had organized for someone to take me to a spa and to dinner, and he had the newborn. And, it was so thoughtful. And I remember after that, he was surprised because we were not talking. We did not talk the way to church. Somehow I still got up there and I was obedient. And at the end, he was like, wow. So are we good? I said, we're not good. We'll continue at home.
Yeah.
I was obeying. I was obeying what God asked me to do. And PK, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, after that service, almost all the wives called me. They were like, I don't know what you did up there, but my husband literally, one of them, the husband said, take my card, go and buy something, just shop. And he has never done that before. The other one said, I'm taking the kids this weekend, you go do. Because now it's like their fellow man is doing this. Another man's wife can stand up there on the pulpit and say all these things, and they were truths. They were None of them were lies, and that's what I made me still say it, irrespective of how I felt, was that this stuff is true. So I think to that person that is married to the person that's not trying or very relaxed, if you can find someone that they would respect, that can also communicate that that's not you, try. It's not the end. I don't know, because I was just feeling sorry. I was just feeling sorry for that woman. I don't know what you think, PK, but I feel like if she can find someone that can talk to him, or someone that is inspired
Yes.
by, or someone that can say, when I came, my wife was doing this, and I just had to step up as a man and do the and for my marriage is better for it, then there's hope. As opposed to just accepting, at least he can give me children, at least, that
Yeah,
it
if it's
can be
because there are
yeah,
some that won't change. So that's why I was
yeah,
saying that. But like you mentioned, definitely if there's someone that can speak to him, that would be a good thing.
yeah.
Another thing you could do, if you could try to, like just like you did on stage, praise him for what he does right. Men usually are motivated by praise a lot.
Mm,
So yeah, things like that could work. But again, don't put all of your heart and happiness to be tied on the fact that he responds. If not,
yeah.
you will. start feeling
The point is,
depressed, and
yes.
by the time both of you are bringing negative energy, there's even no hope of something positive coming out of that situation when both of you are negative. So
Mm,
you definitely you can pray, project what you want him to do. You do it first. Get somebody that can talk to him for sure. Those things can help, and maybe somehow God can reach him. God can touch him. He can change. But
mm,
while that is going on, be patient and be happy. Find your own happiness. Find fulfillment in what you do have going for you. Very important.
yeah. Thank you, sir. That was very enlightening. I'm
You,
sure
thank you.
people have benefited from this live. Thank you so, so, so much. And we can't wait. We're ready. We're ready for LDM. So yeah.
I'm
You
looking
guys, if you
forward
haven't
to
bought
it.
a ticket, yeah, please go ahead and purchase them and we'll see you all there.
So please, guys, come out, come out, come out. My team are already on the way to Australia. I'm here in Cameroon. I'm gonna fly to Australia on Tuesday. So I'm gonna leave Cameroon to Lagos, but I'm not gonna leave the airport. So I'm just moving from arrival to departure. So from arrival, I'll just jump on the departure, get a plane that go coming to Melbourne, to Australia. So it is very it's demanding for us both financially, physically, time wise, to come out here. So please, if you're in Australia, you know people in Australia, whether you're married or single, divorced, widowed, anyone, you're going to learn something, and it's going to be a good environment to be in. And I'll take pictures, sign books. Me and Pastor Mildred, we'll meet some of you. Australia is far. I don't know when I'm coming back, so please come out. Let's meet you. Let's hug. Let's take pictures. Let's sign your books, and let's share wisdom of God, concerning relationships. So tell people. I know some of you here are already going to come, but I need you to spread the word. So help us
Yeah.
post it on your status, on your Instagram, everywhere you can post it. Let somebody know. Call people, text them. There are people that still don't know, so convince them to make it. Take time off work. Exchange your shift, whatever you need to do to come out.
Can I play devil's advocate, PK, for the people that perhaps can't afford the ticket? Maybe can we do a promo or giveaway of 10 tickets, tag somebody to tag somebody to tag somebody type of, and then we pick from the comment section, perhaps, just even if it's 5 or 10.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And also, guys, we can also get some sponsors. So if you have a business, for instance, you can sponsor people. So you can say we're buying 10 tickets, we're giving away 20 tickets and things like that, and you get featured. So those are like some ways to get people in. If you care about kingdom marriages, which is the goal, please spread the word and we'll see you guys at the venue.
Thank you, Dr. Jerry.
Thank you,
This was
sir.
good.
Thank you so much.
Want to see you. Like, what city are you in?
Sydney, of course, the best city.
Ah, everybody's in Sydney. What's happening in that
We're
Sydney?
all in Sydney. Yes. We'll be there live and direct. We can't wait, sir. Thank you.
Okay. That's good. Great your hobby. Hope I'll see him as well that day.
Yes, yes, he's ministering. So,
Oh,
yeah.
powerful. Powerful.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All
Thank
right,
you.
sir. Thank you. All right, guys. See you.
Nancy said she
Bye.
can donate tickets for people tickets, so maybe you
Oh,
can reach
Nancy,
out to
that's
her.
nice. Please, how many
Plan and
tickets? Ma, let's see it here. Write the number so you don't change your mind later. Thank you. I'm waiting. Write the number. Eh? No, you're Kachi Rich Kachifu. Please write the number of tickets you're donating. 10.
10.
Shay, well done.
That's
Thank you
amazing.
very much. That's nice. We'll do the announcement. Thanks. Thanks,
Thank
Nancy.
you,
Thank you.
everybody, for coming out. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. The
Thanks,
Bible woman.
everyone.
You guys should make noise about it, oh, please.
We will. We will, sir. Thank you very much. All right, guys. Good
Thank you.
night.
Thank you.